Good morning, everyone. We are your World Learning UGRAD team. We're really excited to see so many of you there this morning. I am Amy Fisher-Brewy, and I manage the overall UGRAD program. I'm here with the amazing UGRAD team, or at least part of the UGRAD team. And I guess I can start over here introducing myself.
Sure. So I'm Bethany Gilchrist, and I'll be working with the students from Sub-Saharan Africa.
My name is Will O'Rourke. I'm going to be working with the students from Eurasia and Central Asia.
And I work with the students from Near East Asia and the Middle East.
And I'm Patrick Murphy, and I'll be working with the students from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia.
I'm Maria Zahed, and I'm working with Patrick with students from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia.
So once again, good morning. Along with the team that you see here, there are a few more people who also work with us. So I work with Clara, some of you might have talked with her. Bethany works with Chris, and Will works with Kedron. They might step in later in the call to introduce themselves, but the room gets very crowded if it's all of us. So here it is very early in the morning, but we wanted this to be the first of many times that we congratulate you on your selection to be part of the UGRAD program. It's a huge accomplishment. We know that you've gone through a lot with the application and interviews, and hopefully now you've done your terms and conditions and your medical forms, and you're all excited to come. The UGRAD program has a really long history, and in some of your regions it's longer than others, but this is the first year that it's going to be one giant global UGRAD program. So there are going to be 259 students that World Learning works with, and you come from 60 countries and are going to 77 universities across the United States. It's a lot of numbers, but I think it gives you a good sense of just how large this program is. We're all really, really excited to get to work with you, as I said. You were chosen because of your academic excellence, your potential for leadership in your home country, and your commitment to your community. And those are all things that we're going to continue to emphasize while you're here in the US. At your host universities, you'll have many opportunities to do cultural presentations, engage in community service, and learn not just in the classroom, but also learn outside of the classroom. We want to make sure that this is a reflective experience for you and something that you really learn a lot from. And that's why we're here. We're here to support you, and we're here to make sure that you're doing all the program requirements and keeping in touch with the embassy and with the Department of State. So any questions that you have while you're here, these are the people that you ask. And with that, we can kind of go into more questions that you can ask now. And I think Roy's going to talk a little bit about how to ask questions on Google Plus in case it's your first time using it.
Yeah, so again, welcome everyone. Hopefully you can hear us. If I can have one or two of you maybe in the Q&A box that you have on your screen, right? Yes, we can hear you. That would be very helpful. But that Q&A box is where, as Amy said, you can ask us questions. Feel free to start typing in questions anytime. We will see a list of them, and Patrick will start selecting the questions one by one, and we will answer them as they come. You might notice that some people will be joining us at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is in about 20 or 30 minutes, so that's great. Some of you are here now, some will come later. We can do introductions again as we see more people pop in. But feel free to ask questions. Again, if I can have maybe one or two of you just write that you can hear us, that would be helpful for us to know. But otherwise, I think we'll start, and Patrick might select a question. We'll reread the question as we're answering it, so you know which one we're reading, and then one of us will respond.
Okay, this question is about vaccines. It says, hi, the meningococcal vaccine is really rare to find here and is only provided by the Ministry of Health at certain times of the year when Muslim pilgrims are preparing to visit Mecca, which is about a month and a half away. Is it?
So, yeah. Rami, I see that question is from you, and is it still working?
We're still good.
Okay. Sorry, our screen went black. So Rami, that question is from you, and you're going to West Virginia University, and you know that stuff, just so you know that I know. You are able to get the I have trouble saying the word, the meningitis vaccine on campus. You can do that your first few days. You'll go to the student health center, get the vaccine, and then you'll have to do like a reimbursement form to take care of the cost. But I'll work with you on that to make sure that you're taken care of. And the meningitis vaccine is required at most US universities, and we all know that it is not available in your home countries. So we'll work with all of the students when you get here to make sure that you're taken care of. I hope that answered the question.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, someone says, I'm here and I can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who are you that can hear us? Who are you? Introduce yourself.
Webmaster Chennai.
Oh, okay. Webmaster Chennai from India.
Awesome.
Okay. When we can get detailed information about our flight itineraries?
So if you're a student arriving for English language training this month and in September, you will be getting information about your flight shortly. I know that doesn't give you a specific date, but your flights have already been purchased and we are preparing your arrival information. So what will happen is you will get an email from your World Learning program team with your flight information attached, as well as details about what you should do upon arrival when you get to the airport. So it's coming soon.
We do a lot of work before you guys get here to make sure that all of the things at your university are taken care of. So while we did purchase your flight, we're also in communication with your host university to make sure that your housing is taken care of, that your meal plan is set up, and that your arrival goes as smoothly as possible. So it just takes a little bit of time for us to organize with the university as they're making their processes. And we want to make sure we're passing along the correct information to you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think to make sure we're recording, we have to click and then stop.
Click on this.
Well, there's a new one. It's nice to meet you too, Gamsong.
Let's see. Okay.
So a lot of people have questions about where they're going to be living on campus. And for the most part, you will all be living in a university dorm with an American roommate. And a dorm varies by university what that means, but generally it means that you will share a room with another student, most likely a US student, and you will have a bathroom down the hall, or maybe you'll share a bathroom with another room. There will not be a kitchen in your room, and that'll kind of be your first, your roommate will be your first friend that you need to make sure that you're talking to about what your expectations are for a living space, and making sure that you're keeping an open line of communication. It's not easy to start living with a stranger. Everyone in college does it. It's not just for international students. It can be a really, really great experience. And going back to thinking about, who's here to support you. When you're on campus, you have your international student advisor who will work with you for any questions that you have on campus. And then you also have us. And as we talked about earlier, you now know who that person is that you would write to say, hey, I'm really kind of struggling with my roommate, or this living situation is really different than what I expected. Just so that we can kind of help you through the process and make sure that you are having a positive, good time when you're here. It's hard to believe that so many of you are coming in just a week.
Yeah, looks like a question just popped up about the English language program, asking, is it about general English or academic English and how that works? And that's a really good question. So as you probably know, you students who are coming in the fall semester are coming here for English language training. Each university might look a little bit different in how they do that. But generally, you are going to learn academic English. You're probably going to learn some research, writing, listening skills to prepare you for your full academics that will happen in the spring semester. So in the fall, your classes might a little bit be picked out for you, as it will have a program that kind of will take you through the process to get you ready for academics by the time spring starts. I don't know if you guys have anything to add about that.
No, but I'm really excited that you'll be coming soon, Abdul Rahma. I know the university is made all the preparations for you, and it's going to be a really good semester.
And then there's another question from Ali Beck, which is, what about the stipend?
Our stipends are going to be set up on a monthly basis. When you first come in, you're going to get a move-in allowance. You are also going to get a reimbursement for books. And we are also getting a stipend for $300 a month. That's going to go on throughout the entire process and throughout the entire program. So I think that answers the majority of it. If there's anything that I missed.
Yeah, I would just say that the book allowance is once a semester, as is the move-in allowance that Will mentioned as well. The only thing you'll be getting on a regular basis is that monthly stipend of $300.
And that $300, so, you know, World Learning is covering your tuition, covering your meals, covering your dorm costs. So that $300 is really just for you for those little things that you might want to go see a movie, or you want to go out for dinner with your friends, or you might want to save that to travel. We encourage you to travel around the US on weekends and holidays, which there are a lot in the fall and moving into the spring. So that $300 is for you to use however you would like.
Or if they want a cell phone.
Yeah, or if you want to pay your cell phone bill.
If you want to pay your cell phone bill.
Yeah.
So as we're doing this Q&A, I don't want any of you to think that this is going to be where you have to get all of your information and you'll never talk to us again. Once you arrive on campus, we will do an orientation with you, the other UGRAD students on your campus, and with your international student advisor. And some of the other team members that I mentioned earlier have been working really hard on putting together your orientation folder from World Learning. And in that packet is going to be a series of documents that goes over all of your financial stuff while you're in the US, kind of more of a communications thing about how to keep in touch with us, an academic review, and then also next steps moving forward from there. So there's a lot of communication that'll happen. And when you get that first check that Will mentioned, it seems like a lot of money. And we'll talk about how you can kind of budget that money and what it's intended to be used for once you arrive on campus.
We had another question, which is anyone going to be greeting students at the airport because this person hasn't received their flight itinerary yet, and they're concerned about that?
The answer is yes. It depends by school. So every school has a different arrival process. More often than not, you will be met by a representative of the International Student Office on your campus. But sometimes what we'll do is we'll provide you information for a shuttle. And by information, I mean really detailed information about where that shuttle will be and who you should talk to and where it will drop you off and what you should do when you get onto campus. But there are people waiting for you. There are people anticipating your arrival. And all of that information is going to be coming to you very soon. Again, if you're arriving this month, just keep an eye on your inbox.
I think that's another thing to mention is your inbox. We work mostly by email, and that's kind of part of your professional development during this program. Businesses run on email. They don't run on Facebook messages. They don't run on text messages for the most part. I mean, sure, everybody uses them, but most of our official communication is going to come to you through email. So if you are not receiving, or once we get into the year, if you are not receiving emails from us, reach out through one of those other venues to make sure that we have your correct email address. And make sure that you are checking your email inbox, because like I said, that's where we will communicate with you the most.
Okay, there was another question about how and when do I choose my classes?
So if you're coming for English language training in the fall, what will most likely happen is when you get to campus, you will take an exam that will test your level of English, not quite as rigorously as the TOEFL perhaps, but just so that, you know, the university can get a sense of what level of classes you would need to take. So that if you're taking English language training, that will dictate the level of classes you take this fall. For the spring semester, all of you will be taking academic coursework, and you will need to work closely with your international student advisor or with your academic advisor in order to find the classes that best fit your interests and your schedule and that are coinciding with the course requirements for the UGRAD program. The one class that you're definitely required to take is US Studies. So US Studies just pertains to the United States. We'll talk about that more when you get here because people get a little creative sometimes with fulfilling that requirement. But beyond that, you can take classes in your major, you can take electives, but you'll probably register starting sometime, in the middle of the fall, or some of you when you get onto campus, and that's completely normal. It will, again, vary by institution.
So that's a question of how many students are coming in the fall. I think
it's about 40.
Yeah.
So there'll be a huge group that come in January. So you guys are the first group of UGRADs, and that means you also get to be the ambassadors for the UGRADs that come to your campuses in January. It's a really big role.
And to add to what Amy said, you will get to meet all the other UGRAD students as well at the reentry workshop.
We don't have dates for that yet. It's a long way away. You're not even here yet.
I think we noticed a few more questions still popping up about flights and pickups and arrival information. And we do want to show you that students, before you come, you're going to receive an email from us with really detailed information about who's going to be picking you up at the airport and how you'll be getting from airport to campus, and then how to meet the staff on the next day to start your orientation. So it is coming your way, and know that the universities where you will be have amazing staff who are working with us very closely to make sure that you're going to be taken care of. So no one's going to be alone. We'll make sure that you have all the information that you need. When we send you that email, if you have questions, you can always respond and say, hey, Roy, Amy, Bethany, Will, Patrick, can you explain this to me a little bit better? And we're happy to do so.
And we just had a really good question, which is, what should I bring with me?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Everything.
I think we could probably do this as a panel discussion about what to pack. But you can buy pretty much anything that you need while you're in the US. That being said, try to bring things that you don't want to live without. So if there's something that's really valuable to you, that's like a piece of home, bring that. If it is something that maybe you want to share with other people at your host community, bring that. Any kind of, shoes, bring some clothes, bring all that stuff, but your needs will most likely be entirely met by the university. So your dorm room, as I was talking about earlier, your dorm room already has a bed, a desk, probably a closet, those sort of things. And we provide you with that settling in allowance, that first money, so that you can buy things to furnish your room. Most international student orientations will have a shopping trip as part of that orientation, and you'll all go to Target or Walmart or some large store so that you can get all the things you need for your dorm room. I'm not sure if anyone else has other things they would want to include.
Yeah. One thing I would say too is a lot of students like to bring their home country's flag. It's really popular.
Yeah.
So if you want to bring a flag or something that you think represents your home country or culture well, while you're here, people are going to be really interested to know where you're from. So whether that means you want to cook some food for them, or play a CD that you love from home, or bring something from home that you think represents your culture and your country well, people will love that. And I bet you will have at least one time when someone will ask you to do a presentation in a class or on campus about your country. So that's when you'll be excited that you brought something with you that represents home.
I would say also, as Amy mentioned, if you're going to bring soaps or anything like that, just small amounts for the first couple days, that you're on campus because you will be able to buy that stuff. Same with winter clothes. I know everybody's probably really scared about it getting cold.
And you should be.
And you should be. But, you know, one, you probably won't be able to find a lot of those things in the places that you're from, and two, they will take up a lot of space in your suitcases. So just wait till you get here. The International Student Office will, again, organize shopping trips and point you to, you know, some stores where you can maybe find big winter coats and boots and stuff that are less expensive than you would if you bought them in a department store. So they'll be able to give you some tips.
Also keep in mind that when you leave, space in your suitcase is going to be very important. I have not heard of a student ever having an easy time packing to go home. So if you have a little extra room in your suitcase coming here, that's probably smart. I think I helped some students pack at the end of this last year, and it was amazing. It was an experience I will never forget. There were 4 people sitting on a suitcase trying to get it closed. It didn't close.
There's another question, which is,
We got all of
we
them,
got all of them
actually.
for now.
Yeah, so I don't know if maybe you want to talk about, I was thinking community service is kind of a fun thing to talk about. We'd mentioned it before, but just to get your minds thinking a little bit more about it, in the spring semester, you will be required to complete 20 hours of community service or volunteer work. And a lot of you were selected for the UGRAD program because you are already doing amazing volunteer projects at home. So we just want you to continue that when you're here. Another thing is we think that community service is a great way for you to get to know your community. So we encourage you to look for opportunities to volunteer on campus, but also off campus in the city or the town that you're in. Of course, you can start thinking now about those things, but I guarantee you that once you get on campus, you will hear about so many ways to volunteer. So you don't have to do any of the research now, but you can start getting excited about it, and you can start thinking about the kinds of projects that you might be interested in. If you want to start your own, that's cool too. But just know that once you get on campus, there will probably be a community service office that you can just go to, and they will have a list of all the different ways that you can volunteer with your community. But that is in the spring semester where it's required. But if you want to volunteer in the fall, or you want to do more than 20 hours in the spring, of course, we really welcome that.
And going along with what Roya said about getting to know your host community and kind of the overall purpose of this program, we don't want you to come here and go from your dorm room to class to the library and back. That is not a successful UGRAD program. A successful UGRAD program is one in which you go to class and you do go to the library, but you also get involved in the community. You also do cultural presentations. You also make friends. You also do weekend trips with the friends that you've met. We want you to really get to explore the United States while you're here and go back as an expert on, you know, your community, so that when you are home in Algeria, you can say, Evansville, Indiana is amazing because of this, this, and this. I think those are all really valuable things that you can take home with you when you go back.
Picking up on the travel piece a little bit, I know that that's a common question that people have, and we've definitely mentioned it, but some of you might be curious to know a little bit more about where you can travel and when you can travel. While you are on the UGRAD program, when you have those holidays or school breaks or things like that, you are welcome to get off campus and go see different places in the United States. We only ask that you fill out a form for us and just kind of let us know where you'll be and how we can get in touch with you and when you plan to come back to campus. You can travel within the United States. You cannot necessarily travel outside of the United States. There are some people that, you know, if you are going to school in New York and it's really close to Canada, you really want to go to Canada. And that is possible from time to time, but your program team could talk to you about that more if the occasion arises. But it's just important to note that you cannot miss any class in order to travel. So the program is academic first and foremost, and you need to be in the class to really absorb all of that knowledge. So There will be lots of breaks, don't worry.
I see that we're hitting our time, 8 a.m., and we probably have some new people maybe joining us. So I thought it might be helpful we do one more quick intro where each of us will say our name and the regions that we work with, and if you want to share anything else. But should we go ahead and do that? You guys okay? Okay.
Sure.
So welcome to everyone who's new. My name is Roya Zahed, and I am working with students from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia.
And my name is Patrick Murphy, and I'm working with Roya with students from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia.
And I'm Amy Fisher-Brewy, and I work with the students from the Near East.
I'm Will O'Rourke. I'm going to be working with the students from Eurasia and Central Asia.
And I'm Bethany Gilchrist. I'll be working with the students from Sub-Saharan Africa.
So welcome to all of the new people who joined us. We've answered a lot of questions about flights, a little bit about community service, academics. Please feel free to add your own questions. We're happy to answer again if there's something that we didn't cover the first time. I can see that there's one.
There's this one, which is, how many students are usually in an English language training course? That's a good question. Or it can just relate to courses in general.
Can I take this?
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Okay. Well, I know for a fact that we do have some schools that are going to be having smaller courses. Generally, in the United States, you may have some courses that range from maybe 5 to 10 students to large lecture halls of 50 to 100. Especially for these ELT courses, especially when you're first starting off at the university, they're going to be pretty small. They're going to be pretty intimate so that you get a lot of contact between you and your professor. It will help you a lot to kind of build those professional English skills that you'll probably need in the classroom later on during your academics.
And are grantees allowed to select the courses to take in their prospective universities after the English test?
I think this question is referring if you can select your ELT classes. So generally, the ELT classes will be more prescribed by what level you place into, and there's a set up curriculum that will probably consist of classes like listening, speaking, grammar, writing. So you might just be in different levels depending on that test, but you'll know more once you get to your campus what that core curriculum is.
Cool. The next question looks like it is, does the university provide transportation to community service sites?
I think that varies a lot by university. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking for your community service project, is whether or not you can walk to it from campus, or if you need to take public transportation, or if there's a university shuttle. So the answer is yes and no. It's something that you would have to investigate and is very case by case.
To add to what Amy said, something else that you might want to look into is seeing if there's a community service club or clubs that do community service, because you might be able to ride in a car with someone or all travel together on a bus or shuttle or something to do that together.
Cool. I'll try to read this one. We're far away from the computer, sorry, that's why we're sometimes squinting at the screen. It says, UGRAD program covers most of the expenses, including tuition, meal, and monthly allowances. We'd like to know how it will be arranged for students and how much money the students have to bring. That's the question. So yes, we had mentioned this just a few minutes ago, but very happy to talk about money because we know that's one of the stressful things about life, really. But as we had mentioned, we'll be sending students $300 a month. It's a stipend, and that money is going to go directly to students' bank accounts. They're U.S. bank accounts. These U.S. bank accounts will be created once you all have arrived on campus. Probably during your first week in the U.S., the International Student Office, as part of the orientation, will take you to a local bank. It might even be right on campus to help you start an account. Once you start an account, you'll send World Learning the information about what's called your account number and your routing number. And once we have that information, we are sending you money electronically from World Learning's bank to your US bank. So that's how you'll get money thereafter. For money immediately coming to the US, that's a good question. I might ask my team too what they recommend as far as how much cash to bring. I would say maybe $50 to $100. Does that sound right to you guys? What do you think about for travel to the U.S.?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
each of you should be getting a travel allowance from the U.S. Embassy or Fulbright Commission. So definitely bring all of that with you, just in case. You don't know what you're going to need along the way. Some of you have some very long flights, some stopovers where you'll want to buy a couple meals en route to the U.S. So bring that money with you. If you end up not spending it all, that's great. But if you do, that's okay too. That's what it's there for. So I would say the amount will vary depending on where you're traveling from, or how many days it will take you to get here. So there's, I don't know if there's $1 amount that I could say, but definitely make sure you bring all of that travel allowance, because there's a reason that you have it.
Yeah.
And for some of you, this might be your first time traveling. And while travel is safe, especially within the US, travel is safe. If you're bringing a lot of money, you want to be careful with it. Maybe keep it in some different places, some in your pocket, some in your purse, some in your bag, just in case something happens that you would have that. It's also not a good idea to kind of fan it all out and say, like, this is how much I have.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
It's pretty tempting for people to just go, thank you, I'll take that.
But you all will also have a check from World Learning when you arrive at your host universities. And that check, as we said earlier, will include your settling in allowance, your money for textbooks, and your initial stipend from World Learning.
There's a question a couple up there I wanted to very much.
This one?
Yeah.
This one? Okay. Hi, it's Majdi. Does the World Learning fund any cultural events or help in publishing it? Publicizing it?
So it sounds like you might have talked to a UGRAD alum, which is great. We definitely want you guys to communicate with any UGRAD alumni that you meet, but also keep in mind that the program changes every year. So if a UGRAD alum told you that there's money for cultural events, unfortunately, that's not the case this year. We want you to get out and explore the community, but unfortunately we don't have money to help support that. Also, this is another good time for us to emphasize, if you do have questions like this, to make sure to ask your program team, don't ask alumni. They have the best intentions and are great resources, but might not always have the right answer.
Can you tell me what it'll look like to go through immigration at the airport?
So when you get off the plane, you're going to be with a herd of people. Bunches of people are going to go through immigration with you. You will want to follow the line that says, whatever, the one that does not say US passport holder, it'll be the one that says non-US passports. I think they phrase it differently at different airports. I'm trying to remember. And you wait in line, and when they call you, you take your DS 2019. Do not pack your DS 2019 in your luggage. Keep it with you. Take your DS 2019 and your passport and your customs form that you filled out on the plane, and you just walk up to the person. They'll say, hi. They'll look at all your documents. They might take a few minutes. They might ask you a few questions. Just make sure to answer them honestly. I know the people that I meet at the airport, some of them are so friendly and so nice, and some of them are maybe having a bad day. It's kind of like the rest of the world. There are some nice people and there are some not nice people. Don't be scared. Just answer their questions. They'll do a little stamp, and then you'll collect your luggage and you'll go through customs. And then you will either transition to another airport or you will go meet your pickup.
Cool. Looks like you might be having some connectivity issues. It looks like things are going smoothly. So if your internet connection isn't good, sorry about that. I don't know if maybe you want to refresh the page, but we're going to continue going and we're going to continue to answer questions. So stay tuned if you can. It's about immunizations that aren't available in home countries.
Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit, but if immunizations are required by your university in order for you to live in the dorms and start your classes, they will be covered by the health benefits program that you will be using while you're here in the US. So if you can't find them at home, don't panic. We encourage you to do that though, because it's better if you get them before you arrive. But if you don't, you'll still be able to get them while you're here and at a relatively inexpensive cost.
I will work with you. I saw someone quickly ask, what is a DS 2019 form? If you haven't received yours yet, it is at the US Embassy. It's with your contact. You will use it to get your US visa.
And we saw another question about internships. Previously on the UGRAD program, you did need to complete an internship, but not anymore. No, you will do 20 hours of community service during the spring semester. You still have the option of doing an internship if you want to, but it is not a program requirement of the UGRAD program this year.
Yeah, and we will support you along the way if that's something that you're really interested in. We're happy to talk to you about that and point you in the right direction for resources.
Fatima from Algeria says, what kind of community service can we do? And the answer is anything that you're interested in. Truly, like communities in the US, like communities anywhere, have so many needs, have so many desires and things that they need extra hands and extra minds to help complete, and that's what you get to be a part of. So if you really like pets and you want to work at a pet shelter, awesome. If you like working with senior citizens, you want to go to a home with elderly people and spend time with them, awesome. If you like children and want to help with childcare, great. The environment, you can help do a park cleanup day. The idea is that anything that you're interested in, we really feel like there's a way to serve. We can help you brainstorm, but again, you're on campus. Community service offices are going to be your best resource, and they'll help you find service opportunities that match what you are interested in.
I saw a question which was, do I need to bring a laptop with me?
You don't need to, but if you have one, it might be a good idea. There will be common spaces in the library and sometimes cyber cafes on campus that have computers available for all students to use. But if you're a person that really wants your own laptop to work on papers or assignments in your dorm room, or you just want to have that freedom to be online and be connected, then yes, I would say bring your laptop.
Question is, will I have a roommate? Let's take that.
So we talked a bit about housing earlier. Yes, you will have a roommate. Different universities have different kind of room setups. So the number of roommates you have may be different. So you might have 1, you might have 4. I've seen as many as 6. So it's a lot of fun. And we just had some more of the team show up, so we thought we would take a minute to introduce them to you. Do you want to sing around?
Yeah, come on.
All right.
So behind us we have these people. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Claire. I work on NIA, Near East, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Montenegro.
My name's Kedrin, and I'll be working with everyone from Eurasia and Central Asia.
Maybe we can have you guys, so there's a question that just came in that says, what should I bring with me to the US? We talked about a few ideas, but I think this is a really, really good question. Is that something that you guys have some tips on what students can bring?
Yeah, for your first week or your first few days on campus, I don't think all the universities provide bed sheets and pillowcases and all those things you'd need before you go to the famous Walmart to pick them up. So if you could bring a few of those from your home countries, that would be amazing, because you need things to sleep on. Yeah?
I would say anything that is representative of your own home country that you can use to teach other people about where you come from. So traditional clothing would be fun, or pictures of your family is always really fun, or any kind of snacks that are specific to where you come from. Just make sure that they're wrapped so you can, there's nothing open, no fresh fruit or anything like that.
Yeah, and a lot of students, adding to what Kedrin just said, a lot of students like to do presentations about their home countries later in the semester. So if you could bring anything that would enhance your presentation, like she said, traditional wear, food, that'd be amazing too.
We just saw another question pop up about internships again. And the question also talks about whether or not you can do paid or unpaid internships. So as Bethany mentioned, and Patrick mentioned, the internship is not a requirement of the UGRAD program. If you want to do an internship, we will support you in that, but you cannot do a paid internship. So any kind of work that you decide to do would have to be unpaid.
Awesome. I think we heard some comments that saying that this is helpful. I'm glad that this is helpful for you guys, and we will be around for, you know, still looks like 15 to 30, however long that you guys think will be helpful. So please continue to send your questions, and we're very happy to answer them. Even if we've answered one and it didn't make sense to you and you want to ask it again, that's totally fine. Should we talk about football?
Sure. So while you're in the US, in addition to doing all of the other fun program things that are going on, you also are going to have the opportunity to participate in an online course called Opal. It's something that we at World Learning developed, and it is to kind of touch on some of those professional skills that you need to be successful in the classroom and also in the workplace once you've graduated. This course will start in mid-September, September 14th actually, and you as an ELT student have the opportunity or the choice to take it during the fall semester while you're in the US alongside your English language courses, or you can wait until the spring and do it alongside your academic courses. In my opinion, I think it would be easier to do when everyone else is doing it during the fall during your English language courses, but it is ultimately up to you. It'll be a really interactive, fun way to get to talk to some of the other UGRAD students and also kind of help guide your professional growth through the UGRAD program.
We have a question from Korea that's asking about medical insurance or health benefits while students are in the country. So we're going to say, yes, students, when you're here, of course, we want you to have a safe and happy time, and we have a medical benefits program that you will be a part of. So if you're feeling ill or you have an accident or an injury, you are protected. And once you get here, we'll talk a lot about that. We have something that looks like a medical benefits card that you will receive. We'll probably send that to you even before you get here on email so that you have it in your inbox. But as soon as you get to campus, you will have a printed out medical benefits card that anytime you need to go to the clinic, if you're feeling ill or have a fever or anything, that you can take that. Now, every campus has an on-campus health clinic. So that's really easy access for you if you aren't feeling well. For times when you need to go to hospitals, that medical benefits card will also help you with that. We hope that doesn't happen, but you will be protected and you will be covered through that insurance kind of policy. And we are here to help you with that. Anytime you are not feeling well, we want to know. So you can email us, call us, Skype us, we're on Skype. So students, when you're in the US and you're not feeling well, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to take care of yourselves, that's why we're here to help you. But we do want to assure you that as far as the money and paying for insurance, we will go over all of that. And it's a pretty good plan that we have set up for you. Oh, if there is a flight delay on their way to the US, what should students do? That's the question.
So in that arrival email that you'll get, you will have our cell phone information, as well as probably some information about the person who will be picking you up at the airport at your final destination. If you have a flight delay, let us know, and we can work with the university from there. But the university will also have your flight information and be tracking your arrival. So they will be up to speed as well and constantly checking. So don't panic.
reach out to your UGRAD team and we'll work together from there to make sure you have a smooth arrival.
The next question that came up is from Hadir. And it's about her medical things that she needs to bring with the US. And I just wanted to let you know that we are working with the University of Memphis to make sure that that works out. And I will send you information about that as soon as we have confirmation.
Cool. A question is, can we know our roommates before we come to the US? You know, a lot of schools won't even tell us who your roommates are until you show up on your dorm. That's, I think, how it was for me when I was in college. I just had to show up to my dorm and I found out my roommate then. If a university has told us who your roommate is, we're happy to pass that along, but most of the time we don't have any information. We know that it's probably an American, a US student, but other than that, there's some excitement to just sort of showing up and seeing who your roommate is.
Think of it as the best surprise present ever.
I saw a question near the top that says, how long will we stay in the USA?
So most of your programs, so all of you are coming, these are for ELT students, you're coming in the next few weeks, and you will arrive sometime in August, maybe early September. And then you will stay in the US until your academic program ends. So you will start academics in January, and then you will stay until your program ends in probably May. For some of you, it might be early June.
Something that's different about UGRAD this year that some of the other countries used to have in the past was that some people were allowed to travel after their program end date. Unfortunately, we don't have that with UGRAD this year.
Here's a question for someone to answer. Can my parents come visit me during the program?
Yes, they can, but they cannot stay in the dorm with you. And just like with travel, you shouldn't be missing classes to have visitors come, whether they are relatives that live in the US or parents coming from abroad. But yeah, if they're able to come and see you, that would be fun.
Another question coming in about flights. So if you're new and you're joining us on this Google Hangout, we want to assure you that you students will be receiving your flight itineraries a couple of weeks before your flight. And on that email, we'll have all the information about who's going to be meeting you at the airport, or if not, how to get on a shuttle from the airport to campus. So just stay tuned and check your email. Amy had said this earlier, but please do continue to check your email. That's where we'll be sending your flight itinerary with all the details about your arrival.
Just answer.
I think we're out of questions. Any more questions out there?
Yeah.
And as we said earlier in the call, this is not the last time we will answer questions. So we will send an arrival email, very detailed with all the information. And then as soon as you're on campus, we will do another orientation alongside your international student advisor and review a whole bunch of other materials that you need while you're in the US, just to kind of review all the program requirements, make sure you're set up. And then we'll do our next steps. So we are always an email, a call, a Skype message, whatever you need. We are always very, very close by.
I saw a question from the post in Chennai, which is how many are going to be going to the University of Missouri? How many UGRAD students?
I believe there will be 5 going to the University of Missouri.
Yeah, and I think that question is coming from Hasina, who's there with them right now. You will actually be taking a shuttle to the University of Missouri. We're going to give you more information about that later, but you'll be taking a shuttle to the University of Missouri with several of the other UGRAD students. So you'll get to make new friends right away.
Great. Any more questions? All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this morning or this evening in your home country. We cannot wait to meet you in a few weeks when you're here and hope that you're really excited for the UGRAD experience. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great. So talk to you soon.
Bye, guys. Bye.